Okay, people, we have something new today. We have a review. However, it is not an ordinary review. Because in this review, if you die... Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Let's back up for a second. In this review, it's less of a review and more of an analysis. Now, does this mean I'm not going to give my opinion? Of course not. However, we are going to try and take down the fanboy glasses for a little bit. We're going to review fanboy glasses. We're going to review The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, my review is going to be a little bit different. I spent a little bit of time earlier and made up a kind of a template for the review I'm going to do. We're going to take each of these in depth and we're going to review them. Simple enough. Main characters. This would be anything from Link to Samus. You get the idea. Bad guys. Same principle. Support characters. Support anything, really. Whether it's extra things that you can do, well, not extra things you can do, but like, whether it's extra characters, extra items, simple stuff like that, nothing big. Transportation. This is a big thing. In Kingdom Hearts, we've got the gummy ship. In Twilight Princess and other Zelda games, we've got a horse, we've got boats, we've got all kinds of things. Transportation is big in Zelda, especially. But in other games, it's pretty big too. Secrets. This is side quests, extra hidden items, stuff like that. The story. Pretty obvious there. There will be spoilers, but I'll tell you when the spoilers are coming up. So you can just kind of skip between the story, and you can just kind of skip that part. Controls. This is huge. This can make or break a game. So, we'll figure it out. The map and levels. This would be like Hyrule Field, the dungeons, everything like that. Difficulty. I can't really say much else there. And then the final level. So yeah, whoa. And out of a total of 20 instead of 10, because I feel that giving each one 1 or 0 is kind of a bad idea. So I'm going to give each of these a 0 out of 2 for right now. And we are going to go individually and discuss them and see where they rank. So, first off, main characters. And, of course, we've got the first main character of any Zelda game, Link. Who else? Who else could possibly be the You know what? I can't do it. I'll just play you a song. That's the best way to explain this. Who this great hero is. He is.
Hero of time, you're the greatest, the bravest, Hyrulean Prime, the savior of our kingdom, redeemer of our rule. Link is the legend of cool.
I love that song. So, anyway. Link. Yeah. He doesn't talk much, obviously, but he definitely has personality in this game. More so, I feel, than the other games. And, in general, he's a better character than I feel he was in some of the other games where he wasn't even a character. As Miyamoto put it, he was a link between the character and inside the game, between the game and the player. So, in this one, he has his own personality. So he did in Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and I'd say he did in Majora's Mask, more so than Ocarina of Time, even though I like Ocarina of Time more. But anyway, so we'll give a point for Link. So that's 1 out of 2 so far. Next on our list is Zelda. So we've got the princess. Well, not the princess yet. She isn't the princess in this game. She's the headmaster's daughter of the little night school that Link goes to. So, what? She's not the Princess Zelda anymore? What's going on? Well, to keep this part spoiler free, we'll be discussing it in the story portion. But she basically has much more personality. You actually see Zelda as a main character. You don't see her as just the princess at the end of the story anymore. Even though she is the princess at the end of the story. You go save her. That's the whole point. But you see her at the beginning. You talk to her. You befriend her. You are her friend. You're not just some random guy anymore. So it really feels more like you're trying to save a friend more than you're trying to save a princess. So, point up for that. And next on our list, we naturally have bad guys. But for main characters, we're going to give it a 2 out of 2. And, well, for main characters, 2 out of 2. Perfect. And, so, let's see, print screen, where is it? Print screen. I'll keep that for here in a minute. So, yeah. Then we have bad guys. There are really 2 bad guys. This is working out really well for my 2-point system. 2 bad guys. There's Girahim, and the real bad guy, who I'm not going to say, you just hear about him throughout the game, so I'll talk about him later. Talking about Girahim isn't really much of a spoiler, but Girahim is creepy, but he is a fantastic bad guy. He is simply great. He reminds me of the Joker, which is very, very high praise. So yeah, there's not much else to say other than he's creepy. And he likes to make sexual innuendos towards Link. So we're going to point out for that, but the other bad guy, I can't honestly say I gave a crap about him. He was just a plot point. He wasn't a character. You didn't see him throughout the game. You didn't hear about all the terrible things he was doing, like you did with Ganondorf. He just... There's no Gruntilda effect here, if you will. Whereas in the Gruntilda effect, you hear about them throughout the game and you grow to actually want to stop them. You don't really care about the final boss. There's nothing to it. Girahim, though, when you fight him for the final time, you really feel like, yeah, I've been sword fighting this guy throughout the game. This is it. I'm strong enough now. It's time to kill him. So we're only going to give a 1 out of 2 for the bad guys. Yep. So, supporting characters. That's what this segment is going to be about. There were 2 that really stood out to me. The rest of them kind of faded into obscurity, though they were decent characters if I had bothered to pay attention. Looking back on it, I see them as decent characters such as Colin, Stitch, or whatever his name was, Stretch, I don't remember. Those guys, you know, that girl behind the counter at the place, at the shop, all of these were good characters. But 2 that really carried the story for me were Fee and Groose. Groose changed a lot. He wasn't a static character at all. He was very well-rounded, very interesting character. And you'll have to play the game to find out why. Fee, on the other hand, didn't feel very well-rounded, even though she did develop a character towards the end, rather than just being a robot. So, since the support characters really did carry the story for me, I'll have to give it a 2 out of 2. Though, if I were being a little bit less lenient, I would give it a 1 out of 1, or out of 2, because, to be honest, the support items, which I'm not going to discuss because it's kind of pointless, it's not even a big deal on the game, they felt really lacking. The upgrade system wasn't anything new, and it just felt a little lacking in that area. So, we're going to say it's a 2 out of 2, but really, if I was concentrating on the stuff that was a bit less important for the game, I would give it a 2 out of 2. I would give it a 1 out of 2. So, next up on our list is transportation. Now, a lot of people are gonna get on me for this, but I didn't like the flying. Maybe it was just me, but it felt unpolished. However, it was a step in the right direction from the trains and boats, I think. So this is going to be a shorter one because transportation is kind of a big deal in Zelda. And it's causing a lot of controversy with the DS games because it has some really crappy transportation on those. But yeah, so I didn't like the flying. It felt unpolished, but it was a step in the right direction for Nintendo. It was a good decision. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2. Next up, we have story. Okay, so skip ahead for a little bit. I'll put up an annotation telling you where to skip ahead to. But yeah, this is going to be the longest. Definitely the longest. So we start out with the general thing, general opening. The goddess sends up the humans to hide in the clouds, while everyone else fights off the hordes of evil, basically. So then you wake up from Link having this nightmare about Zelda getting taken away or whatever, by a bird sticking its head through your window. You get a letter, and this letter tells you to wake up, basically. It's Zelda telling you to wake up. And you go out, you go do your thing, Link running around, learning the controls, talk to some people. You go and you're a knight in training, basically. And you go to night school, which is where night school. That's funny, but it's spelled with a K. The night school teaches you how to train with weapons and mainly to fly on your birdie. Keep wanting to say horsey because I like horsies. They fly on the birdie, and yeah, then you have to have a race, and after this race, you win the race, and Zelda presents you with this sailcloth, which you can use to hover down from great heights. That's besides the point. We're getting off track. Basically, Zelda gets kidnapped. You have to find her. You go around the world trying to get these different, get your sword powered up, so that you can save the world. You know the drill. It's general Zelda stuff. You're getting your sword powered up at the end of every dungeon while you're out searching for Zelda. No. You get your sword powered up at the end. I'm getting mixed up. Anyway, at the beginning you're looking for Zelda, running through all these temples and stuff. And towards the end, you start looking for these, and you were looking for parts of this song. You find the song later on, you go through some more dungeons, and then you power up your sword. You get the Master Sword, basically. Which you are the destined wielder of the Master Sword. Which Fee is like is the Master Sword, basically. Yeah, so then you've got this guy Girahim, the Prince of Demons or whatever, which doesn't make any sense. For obvious reasons, it doesn't make any sense. Who's trying to resurrect his master, who is called Demise. You fight him throughout the game in a weird form, but you don't really see him. He's not really a presence. Girahim is, on the other hand. You fight Demise at the end of the game, who tells you when you beat him, basically he's going to come back in reincarnations. We just saw the creation of Ganondorf. That was badass. Just throwing that out there. That was amazing. That was a great decision on Nintendo's part. We find out that Zelda is actually a goddess in human form. Who is actually 1,000 years old. She got trapped in time, and you go and wake her up, so forward in time, so she's actually 1,000 years old. It gets confusing towards the end. You have to go open up the time gate to go back and forth in time. You have to go back and stop the Demon King and go forward and stop the Demon King, creating another set of timelines. It should, at least, in my opinion, because in one side Demise is destroyed and the other one he isn't, so that should be two separate timelines, if you ask me. In one of them, you fight him and kill him, and he like curses you. In the other one, the frickin' pillar an island from the sky falls on him. So that's the basic story. I'm not gonna go in depth with it, because if I did, it would take me all night. But yeah, it was pretty interesting, if you ask me. And it answered a lot of questions about the Zelda universe. So, all in all, on those 2 points, I'll give it a 2 out of 2. Next up, we have controls. And oh my god, did they do it perfect. These motion controls feel amazing when you're fighting with the sword. There's not much else to say about the swordplay, except it feels great. It doesn't feel as stupid as the Twilight Princess wiggling the remote. It felt really good. However, all the gimmicks with it. Oh my god, the beetle. It was good. It really was, but it was such a gimmick. There were so many motion control gimmicks with this game, it wasn't even funny. So, because it was so gimmicky, I'm only going to give the controls a 1 out of 2. And next up, we have map and levels. The map on this game is a genius idea. I know a lot of people don't like it. It feels small, it feels useless. They didn't have much to work with. They didn't. I will agree with that. But what they did with it was great. Opening up new areas as you come back and get more stuff. You come back and you actually use all of your items throughout the game and to get to new places, and it really felt good. The overworld map felt really lame and useless to me, but the ground map felt amazing. It felt more like little mini dungeons between each dungeon as the overworld, as the world that you were in. Now, the levels. This is where the game got something perfect. Alright, the dungeons all had their own theme, and they didn't feel like rehashes of old dungeons. For instance, the water dungeon, the Ancient Cistern, did not feel like a water temple. It didn't feel as foreboding and cold and useless. It felt very warm and lively and happy. Very, until you go into hell. Yeah, don't ask me. I don't know what they were thinking, but they made an entrance to hell in the Ancient Cistern. That's besides the point. But There are mines, and the mines were fun. Even though they were a bit of a rehash, they were fun. There was a... Well, they weren't mines. It was the inside of a volcano, but it was technically mined, and it was weird. And the ship. The ship was my favorite. It was so much fun. It really... all of them really felt really good. So, for map and levels, I'll give it a 2 out of 2, because the levels were really well made, and the map was really good. So, it was very well thought out. So, 2 out of 2. Next up, we have difficulty. This is an intricate part to any good game. A balance of difficulty. Now, you don't really have much difficulty beating the game, though it is rather fun. So, I'll let it slide on that first part of the game, but then you get to hero mode, and it is so hard. So, the balance there isn't very good. So, I would have to give it a 1 out of 1. I know a lot of people like the way they did that, but I personally felt it was unbalanced. You go from this really easy game into this really difficult game. So, I like what they were trying to do there, but I'm gonna have to give it a 1 out of 2. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the final level. Major spoilers here, so if you don't want them, you should skip to the end. I'll put up a thing again saying where to go. It was brilliant. It was less of a final level and more use running around a sloped path, fighting an army. You really felt the weight of how much you've grown since you first started the game. As you run through slaughtering hundreds and hundreds of enemies. And then you get to the bottom, and you have to fight Girahim for the last time. It's the hardest yet, with giant floating platforms, and you jump down and stab him in the chest. Jump down and stab him in the chest again, then sword fight him for the final time. And then you go and fight Demise, and as much as I hate his character, the final fight is amazing, and the design is fantastic. You go into this alternate dimension where you have to use the lightning to swing at him. And you sword fight the god of evil. It was amazing. Simply amazing, and I have to give it a 2 out of 2. It felt epic. It felt great. There weren't any puzzles. So on second thought, a 1 out of 2, because it wasn't a real final Zelda level. You didn't build up to anything. Like in Twilight Princess, you had the castle at the end that was really fun. There wasn't a final ending. It really didn't. Unless you count the puzzle dungeon right before it, which I really don't. I can't honestly say that's the final level because I didn't like it. I honestly didn't like it. So, 1 out of 2. Alright guys. So yeah, that's it. We're done. Overall, it's a 7 out of 10. It's a fantastic game. It really is. However, there were a few flaws, and I felt like Nintendo was a little rushed at the end. So, it's a little excusable. The fans were really pushing for Skyward Sword, and it could have been a better game, but they had more to do. They had more things that they had to get done, and the Wii U coming out, they were rushed, you know? So, it's understandable. However, it's no excuse. Really, Nintendo, it wasn't an excuse to make an unfinished game. As great as the game feels, as great as it is, that's what it is. It's an unfinished game, and it's a 7 out of 10 unfinished game. So that goes to show what when Nintendo doesn't do all that they intend to, they still deliver for all of us fans. Thanks for watching. If you like, subscribe wherever the button is. Subscribe, watch more of my videos. I honestly think my Let's Plays are a little bit better than this, because it's a little less planned. So my comedy is a bit better. Check out my Let's Plays. Those are my favorite. I'll be doing more of my Castlevania Let's Play soon. As soon as me and Chaos get back on Skype together sometime, we'll be doing more of the Castlevania Let's Play. So, thanks for watching, and subscribe, do all that good stuff, like, you know the drill. See ya!